what your favorite musical says about you. You went to vacation Bible school a lot as a kid. You're not a furry, but you have dressed up as Mr. Mistopheles for Halloween at least 3 times. You like Sweeney Todd, but wish it was educational as well as being filled with murder. You played Harold Hill in high school. You played Curly in high school. You played Sky Masterson in high school, but now you'd rather just play nicely. If you like overpriced cocktails, and you have half a brain, you're a baritone who can't hit all the high notes and wave in through a window, but that's not gonna stop you. Link gets a pass for Hamilton, right? What your favorite musical says about you, part 2. You have a pulse. You always bring up the darker Grimm's fairy tale version of the story whenever somebody tells you what their favorite Disney movie is. You like to correct people on what is and isn't actually covered by the First Amendment. You think you're a tortured artist when really you're just 23 and a baritone. You wear your Capezios to every audition, even when there isn't a dance call. You like classic literature, lush orchestrations, and you want to lick Josh Groban's beard. You're a glutton for punishment. You're a glutton. You're being punished. What your favorite musical says about you, part 3. You make a point to always start in Canada whenever you visit Epcot. You like shows that are a little sweet, a little funny, and then out of nowhere, BAM! Hurt you in Act 2. You only ever wear sexy Halloween costumes. You've been asked to leave a drag brunch for participating too much. You are ready to be hurt again. The only person you love more than Dolly Parton is Allison Janney. You like Sondheim. You love Sondheim. You are Sondheim. What your favorite musical says about you, part 4. You have named each of your many succulents. You think musicals that only have one ending are for quitters. You think 2-hour musicals with a happy ending are for quitters. You think Les Mis counts as a 2-hour musical with a happy ending. You thought you were Lydia in high school, but as you're approaching 25, you're starting to worry that maybe you're actually Delia. You have a favorite Hawaiian shirt. You liked Oklahoma, but wish it had more tap numbers. You never pass up the opportunity to tack that last Defying Gravity riff onto the end of any number. You're a whiz at Greek mythology trivia thanks to this, Lore Olympus, and the Percy Jackson movie. We don't talk about that movie. What your favorite musical says about you, part 5. You've prepped to shut down your pro-Trump uncle's drunk Thanksgiving tirades like a poli-sci major preps for a debate. You've caught yourself saying, "No me diga," whenever you overhear gossip. You've already planned out the group cosplay of this for the next convention/Ren Fair that happens. You think crying in public should be a group activity. You own a flapper dress because at this point you've thrown so many Great Gatsby parties that it's cheaper than constantly renting one. Your love language is channeling all your frustration into your art. You always liked the post-modern jukebox version of a song more than the original. You got really into this show around 14 or 15 and would get defensive when someone says they didn't like it, but it doesn't matter if they didn't like it because it wasn't made for them. It was made for you. Their generation has their own shows, but this is for you. And 10 years later, you're going to look back on this and cringe a little bit at how into it was, even though it's still a good show. Also, Roger and Mark are terrible characters. What your favorite musical says about you, part 6. You flinch anytime somebody counts a 5, 6, 7, 8 out loud. Your go-to karaoke songs are all duets, and you always sing both parts by yourself. You've caught yourself arguing with the characters in your fanfic. You like pointing out to Phantom fans that technically your show has run longer just to watch their eyes twitch. You've gone past skrelting and are now just straight-up screaming. You've been fangirling over Alex Brightman long before he put on the pinstripes. You will watch anything Norbert Leo Butz does. You can write off going through 6 bottles of wine a week as character research. What your favorite musical says about you, part 7. You've given yourself a fair amount of late-night pep talks in the bathroom mirror. Your main goal in life is to own a puppet of yourself. You think most of life's problems can be solved with a good cruise. You always do the thing when you take off a coat. You've gotten dirty looks from people for shouting out shadowcast lines at live productions. You can't spell frequent instances of childhood trauma without Fun Home. You like Starlight Express, but wish the plot wasn't so straightforward. Your roller derby name is Dame Slamdrew Lloyd Webber. What your favorite musical says about you, part 8. You never grew out of your pop-punk phase. You secretly blame Newsies for this closing early. You've made a friend sit through the entirety of Flying Circus, even the bad season. You've read the works of Shakespeare and somehow thought, could be gayer. You're quick to mention this whenever somebody starts gushing about Hadestown. You never pass up an opportunity to make fun of a Nazi. You think the phrase, and they all lived happily ever after, is just Goyish nonsense. You think Andrew Garfield was the best Spider-Man. What your favorite musical says about you, Part 9. Your favorite characters in Rent are Roger, Collins, and Maureen. You descend every staircase like you were expecting Louis Armstrong to welcome you home. You're the polite friend all your friends' parents love who then swears like a sailor the moment they're out of the room. The fairy godmother version of I Need a Hero has shown up on several of your pump-up playlists. You wish you lived in a New York apartment with a tap-powered elevator, instead of a New Jersey apartment with a broken one. Instead of JoJo poses, you do Fosse poses. You think things like sets, characters, and a plot shouldn't get in the way of a good song. What your favorite musical says about you, Part 10. Your dad refers to any music made before 1980 as real music. You've never sung Don't Stop Believin' at karaoke ironically. Your favorite Shakespeare play is Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. You still refer to anyone you've ever done a show with as your tribe, even if you haven't spoken to them in years. You've had a breakdown in a practice room. You've been dying to break out a song from this or Once More with Feeling at an audition. You've reconciled that just because somebody can tap dance doesn't mean they're not a total monster. What your favorite musical says about you, Part 11. You've hurt yourself trying to belt Rainbow High. You think the kids in Spring Awakening had it too easy. Your idea of romance begins and ends with Colin Firth as Mr. Darcy. Your bachelorette party will include drunken karaoke. You've tried Blue Apron, Squarespace, or Cash for Mattresses at least once. You or someone you know is a youth pastor. You will do anything for Heidi Blickenstaff. Anything. What your favorite musical says about you? Sondheim edition. You think Norman Bates counts as a sex symbol. You're either an operatic soprano, a tenor with a triple forte, or you've played anybody's. You try to be everything to everyone and can almost pull it off. You follow all the theatrical superstitions like not whistling backstage and not bringing a phone out in the same building as Patti LuPone. You view Angela Lansbury as both a gay icon and a goth icon. Your motto is, if you can't do something perfectly the first time, don't do anything at all. You enjoy sad acoustic covers of upbeat Disney songs. More than once, your friends have given you a screen-printed shirt with their face on it as a birthday present.